but I speak it, so that's good. Okay, well, welcome everybody to the Prostitution Information Center. My name is Berna. I heard that you already know that I am one of the only people here that has never been a prostitute. The only reason I'm allowed to work here is because during my bachelor studies I did an extra study on the history of prostitution in Amsterdam. So that's why I'm allowed to work here. What I would like to do is I would like to tell you a little bit about the PIC, what it is we do here. I'm going to tell you a little bit about how prostitution works here in Amsterdam. And then I think you're going to go hit the streets, huh? Yes. 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 Okay, good. Well, we have a camera crew here. I hope you guys don't mind. Be discreet,
Yeah.
The Prostitution Information Center was founded by Mariska Major, which is, we just had her here all day, this lady. And she founded this center in 1994, and she did that because she was a sex worker herself for quite some time, and when she quit, she found out that there was this big need for information about the neighborhood, but of course especially about the profession. So the main goal of this center is basically that anybody that has any kinds of questions whatsoever can just walk in and ask them without people looking at you funny in any way. Besides that, of course, we do lots of projects for prostitutes or prostitution. One of which is the sculpture Belle. I'm thinking you're going to go see the real one. This is just the miniature thing, not the pretty lady over there. The other pretty lady. The small pretty lady. It's a very important project for us. The other thing we do is the magazine I just showed you. It's a free magazine for sex workers in Holland. It contains just stories about the everlasting, ever-changing law, new rules, how things are arranged tax-wise, things like that, but also just information stories from colleagues, co-workers. We used to do that 4 times a year, but I think now only once a year. And I think it's going to be a digital version as well, so we're going with our time, so to speak. And so that's a couple of the projects we do. Most people that come in here are, well, tourists. We usually come from places where they have never seen anything like this. So we have lots of explaining to do, so to speak. We find them wandering the streets, not knowing what to think. Of course, sex workers themselves come in here a lot, usually with questions on how to work, the different forms in prostitution, what the law is exactly, what is and isn't allowed, how the whole tax-paying thing works. And we try to help them along as much as we can. And if we don't have the information they need, then at least we know where to send them, where they can get the information they need. We are not a rescue organization for the main reason that, well, if you open up the yellow pages and you want to be rescued, there are many, many projects on that, bed projects, getting out projects. Those are all my literal translations of the words. So don't get me wrong if you call it different. But if you want to find information about legal prostitution and how to do this in a legal way, well, those organizations are scarce, and we are one of them. So that's mainly what we do. Of course, clients from sex workers come in here a lot, usually with questions on where do I go if I want this and this, and we try to send them in the right direction. We always think it's very important that clients like to come in here, because first of all, well, let's face it, that just takes a lot of guts, to just walk in here and ask what you want to ask. And the thing is, if you're really serious about this, if you want to become a customer, or if you already are a customer, and you want information, maybe you want to know if things are as well arranged as people say, or if things are as bad as people say, both things happen, then how do you know, how are you going to find that information? Now, I don't know if you guys ever Googled the word sex before. No, of course not. Of course not. I've been doing this for 8 years. I don't think I've ever met anyone who's ever done that before. Well, I have, but I'm allowed because, well, I'm in the business. In fact, I do it every day. No. If you would, you know, just on a lonely Saturday night somewhere, you will find yourself in a forest of information. And like I said, how do you know? I mean, anybody can put anything on the internet. So I always think it's a really, really cool thing that people find their way to the PIC, because it tells me that you did a little bit of homework and you are serious about this and you actually, you know, gathered some information already. Also, customers tell us what goes on behind closed doors. Usually a customer is someone who sees the first signs that maybe something is wrong or maybe something is off. You know, maybe if she starts crying all of a sudden, then you know that something is wrong, and customers come and tell us. That is the advantage of having not illegalized. Is that the word? Mm-hmm. Is that a real word? Illegalized? No.
Sounds nice.
It sounds nice, but it's not a real word. But you understand what I mean, right? I always make up my own word. My English is good, so good I make up my own language. That's the upside of having legal customers. Is that better? That they are allowed to share that information, and we find that very important, because if we hear something like that, if necessary, we can take steps to see what's going on. So we welcome customers in here to share their information with us. We do the same for them. And of course, we have lots of students from all over the world coming here in really, really big groups, asking all kinds of outrageous questions. So that also goes for you guys. Please don't be embarrassed. Ask me anything you want to know. You can stop me at any time. I never really like me talking, you listening. I'd rather I tell you what you want to know than that you learn what I know. So if you have any questions, please stop me at any time. Yeah, just interrupt me. You can. So that is a little bit about what we do here at the PIC. The first thing you need to know if you go outside and if you walk around in this neighborhood is that all the women you see working in the windows here are all self-employed, which means that they are completely their own boss, and that means that they are the ones who decide how many hours they work, how many days they work, what they wear, what they will and will not do, and who gets to come in and who does not. I always say this specifically because there are still quite some people out there that seem to believe that a prostitute is not allowed to say no. This is of course absolutely not true. Just because you're renting out your body, you're not selling it, you're just renting it out for a certain period of time, doesn't mean it's not still yours. Huh? You are still the one who decides who gets to rent it and who does not. All these women here have their own personal preferences. Some like tall, some like short, some like old, some like young, and some like women. So don't be surprised if there's a knock on the window and it's not for you, sir, but it's for you. It definitely happens. Not as much as male customers, but it does happen.
So now, do they pay tax on that? Like every engagement, do they have a percentage that goes back to the good old government?
Yep, of course they do. Of course they do. Yeah. Why do you think it's legal in this country?
Sure.
It makes us a lot of money.
Mm.
Yeah, they pay taxes. Basically, it's the same rules apply to anybody who has their own business.
Right.
Same rules apply for these ladies. So all the good, but also the bad.
Write-offs.
You know, you have to pay for
have a good account.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So yeah, that's what they do. For a woman to rent a room here in this neighborhood will cost her approximately about 85 to 185 euros per shift. And a shift is 8 hours. So that's a lot of money, huh? So it's safe to say that you don't just do this because you like to have sex with strangers for money. This is work.
You gotta pay
This
the
is a
rent.
job. Yeah, you gotta pay the rent or pay for that really cool car you wanted. Also something that definitely happens. So
what would the average be then for an 8-hour shift?
the average, well, that really depends. I'll let you do the math. To go into, yeah, you're drinking the beer, not me, so you can do the math on that one. To go inside with a lady here will cost you approximately a bare minimum of 50 euros for 15 minutes. Yeah, a lot of men react that way. We women know that it's plenty of time, right? Sorry guys, but it is, trust me on that one. And that 50 euros is really for the bare minimum, so everything else you want. You can ask for anything.
Yeah.
The question is, will she do it? The other question is, will she do it with you? And the last question is, how much is she going to charge for it? And that can differ from woman to woman. The average amount of customers here in the red light district is between 3 and 30 every shift. So yeah, I can give you a big ballpark figure, but you can kind of imagine that you can make a whole lot of money here. Especially if you have a couple of outrageous requests in the night, you can make a lot of money. Of course, that also completely depends on your lifestyle. There are a lot of women here who have a certain goal.
Yeah.
But there are also a lot of women here who just really like to have a lot of money and spend a lot of money.
It's easy to do here with everything you can buy, right?
Huh?
It's easy to do with all the shops.
Well, I'm pretty sure that if you have a lot of money, it's easy to get everything in every single country. I'm pretty sure that that's the way it works. If you have money, you can get anything anywhere. You don't have to necessarily be in Amsterdam, I think. I think that basically every big city can provide anything you need.
Yeah.
If you can pay for it, that is, of course. So yeah, like I said, it's a pretty big ballpark figure, but I can't narrow it down anymore. If it's a really rainy day, yeah, you can have only 3 customers. But if you look here in the summertime, what kind of madhouse it is, I mean, I've seen queues. I've even seen men go in the back of the queue. Oh, you don't get that? Do you get that? Do you get that? Yeah, so you see queue in front of a lady in the window, and the guy looks at the queue. There's about 15 guys in the queue. He just, gets in the back of the line.
That's
I've never understood that. I always thought that was an amazing, fascinating thing. It could mean she's really, really good.
Explain that he cannot see the women.
Huh?
He can't see the women.
No, he
explain
can't.
that.
He can't. No, exactly. The guy can't see the woman because, well, she's busy. So he just sees the queue. I think it's an amazing, fascinating fact.
She's very good.
Really, I think this is fascinating. Why would you do? But like I said, maybe you just figure she's just really, really good.
Yeah.
If there's a queue. Then again, you're in the back of the queue. Sorry, that's probably just me. Well, anyway, there's no mandatory testing in this country. Just want to get that little fact out of the way. A lot of people ask me this. I know that there in some countries there is mandatory testing. Thing is that in this country everybody is responsible for their own health. I really agree because I really think it's weird that a government or a boss can make you put a needle in your arm. I think that's just weird. And also, customers don't have to show a bill of health, so why on earth should the woman have to? The facts are that a lot of these women, like I said, they pay a lot of money to be able to work here. I don't know anyone that wants to get sick from a customer. I don't know anyone that wants to get pregnant from a customer. Why on earth would you want that? So these women take very good care of themselves. I say most, not all. There's also not a law with condom use in anything. Just because, how are you going to reinforce a law like that? It's just impossible. Put a cop in every room and check. Maybe if you pay extra, but I'm not sure. Most of these women always will use condoms. Unfortunately, there is still a small group of men, and sorry guys, but it is kind of like the men that use the condoms. So there's still a small group of men that are willing to pay a whole lot of money to have unsafe sex. And as long as there are men who are willing to pay double, triple, sometimes 4 times as much just to have unsafe sex, there are going to be women who are going to take the money. It's a simple matter of supply and demand. As long as there are people who want to use the drugs, there are going to be people who can supply it. It's as simple as that. So I always try to tell everybody that it's 2011, you cannot have unprotected sex anymore, not with someone you meet in a bar, not with someone you meet here. Fortunately, STD rates in this neighborhood are quite low. Don't spread the word on that one, because just because they're low doesn't mean they're not there. They're low, but they're still there. So still always be careful with that. That's a little bit about how that works. Does anybody have any burning questions for me already?
Do you get a lot, is it mainly like a tourist thing, do you find, or do a lot of locals? What's like the ratio, do you think?
Well, a lot of people seem to believe that tourists are the biggest group of customers here in the neighborhood. Unfortunately, that is absolutely not true. That is because most of the women that work here have a couple of rules that the customer needs to uphold. Well, there are a couple of rules if you want to become a customer. And the first rule is that you don't take a customer that's obviously drunk, because drunken people become unpredictable. So, well, let's just say there goes what? 60% of all tourists?
Yeah.
I'm being very careful.
area.
Yeah, in this area. Absolutely. So, and like I said, I'm being very careful with my numbers. I think it's actually more, but well. The other rule is you don't take a customer that's obviously used drugs. And hard drugs is, well, kind of easy to spot with the big eyes and the attitude. But even soft drugs, which is tolerated, not legal, tolerated, you're still in Holland, remember that one. Yeah. Oh, you'll find that word a lot here. It's our favorite word, really. We're very tolerant people. But even with the soft drugs, you know, it's not that you become very aggressive if you've smoked marijuana or something. But I don't know if you've ever tried to wake somebody up who passes out after smoking a joint. Oh, well, trust me on that one, there goes your day shift, yeah. And those buckets of water on your mattress is not very nice. Also, or you have those, you got a lot of tourists that say, oh no, I do it in my country all the time. And you take one puff of the Dutch stuff and they start puking. And also not something you want inside your little room, trust me on that one. So they will tell you to, you know, have an orange juice and a Snickers bar and come back in a couple hours when you're a little bit more sober. So there goes about what? Another 30? 35%? And again, I'm being very, very careful. I think it's more. And the last rule is you don't take a customer that looks and, well, smells like he hasn't showered in a week. I don't have to explain that, right? That's just, you know, hygienic reasons. So there's a lot of tourists who don't know this. So most tourists, they never get to see the inside of a window brothel. I think a lot of people call it, when they come here, they take a little Dutch courage, a drink, as in, yeah, that's, those people never get to come in. I see it all the time, very excited, drunken teenagers that are screaming, yay, we're finally gonna get laid, and I think, no.
No, you're not.
Not even here. No, unfortunately, no. So yeah, a lot of disillusioned tourists, people walking around here. So the biggest group of customers is regular local people. that is the biggest group.
Cool.
You know, been there, done that.
Yeah, I think so, and also I think it's a little bit, you know, you can see women working here at 7 o'clock in the morning, and I have a lot of people asking me, "But 7 o'clock in the morning, what?" I say, yeah, well, you know, some people like to go to work with a smile. If you have a really boring job in an office all day long, crunching numbers, what is it you want before the bell rings at 8:30 and you have to be inside with your cool suit and everything? You want to have some relief, fun. So yeah, I think that's a little bit what it is. I also think that maybe we Dutch are a little bit of a strange people. There was a survey a couple of years ago amongst Dutch women, and first thing you need to know is that about 80% of all customers here has a relationship of some kind. And like I said, I think Dutch women might be a little weird. I actually agree with them, but I am one of the weird ones. About 75% of all Dutch women that were asked, so that's not the entire population, said that they didn't find it adultery if the partner goes to a prostitute. Because of the simple fact, with a prostitute, you know for sure she's not after your man. She's after his money. She's not gonna call him 35 times a night to ask him where he is. She's not gonna want fun clothes for Christmas or, you know, Valentine's presents or anything. No, that's completely business. Most of those women find it a lot worse if the partner actually has a relationship with the woman next door. That's bad, because that's really love. This is just business.
So you're very tolerant.